Hi there, good afternoon everyone. This is Liz Davis. I am a nutritionist and I specialise in digestive health for busy women. So I help busy women fix their reflux, painful digestion, IBS, bloating, etc. Any kind of hormone issues you might have and chronic fatigue, that kind of thing. Because quite often that has a large element of gut health at play, and I do this with state-of-the-art gut testing, usually hormone testing, any other testing that we need, and then dietary and lifestyle upgrades to bring things nicely back into balance for you, using supplements and things as well. So fresh or frozen, which is better? And I think the answer might be a very pleasant surprise for you, because it's always more convenient. And that's using frozen vegetables and fruits, because I'll explain a little bit about why that is, but it makes life a lot easier. So if you're very, very busy and you haven't had a chance to do any shopping or whatever, a few kind of bags of frozen fruits and veg in the freezer can be a really handy way to make sure you're getting plenty of nutrients and those all important polyphenols into your diet to make sure your gut bugs stay nice and healthy. So unfortunately, most of our most popular kinds of fruits, so berries for example is a good one to use here, particularly with kids. Kids love berries usually, and they're only at their best for a very short window of time over the summer. So that's already quite limiting. We can buy them year round, but they're never quite as nice the rest of the time. They're not as tasty and they don't have as many nutrients in them either. So the benefit there is that when you buy frozen ones, they are picked when they're at their absolute ripest. Those are full of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, polyphenols, and actually, bursting with flavour. They're much, much better for you at that stage. And when scientists have tested the nutrient levels in the labs and stuff, they're actually as nutritious, if not more nutritious, than the fresh ones you can buy. So that's a real bonus. So then you can use them in smoothies and overnight oats and that kind of thing, whatever you want to, and you can have that, that kind of level of nutrient value year round, which is amazing. So there are other things as well that are really handy to have. There's peas, broccoli, strawberries as well, I've just mentioned, carrots, spinach. All those things have been tested in the lab and they all turn out to be as nutritious as the fresh ones, basically. So that's really good. They're bursting with B vitamins and folate as well. So the vegetables are as good quality as the berry ones. So what's happening there is, because when whatever it is, berries, fruits, vegetables, what have you, when they're harvested, then they're fresh. They tend to be harvested before they're fully ripe. That's the problem. So if they're not fully ripe, they haven't got all those lovely high nutrient values going on. They haven't got as much flavour going on either. So they harvest them before they're fully ripe, just so they last longer. So they've got to probably be either flown around the world or certainly travel across the country. Spend a lot of time in the warehouse before they're shipped to the supermarket, where they spend a lot of time in storage again, and then they're hanging around on the shelf for a long time. That's before they even get to your fridge, where they probably hang around for another few days or a week. But that's the rationale behind it. It keeps things fresh for longer. So by the time you eat them, a lot of the time they just haven't got that nutrient level going on, which is a real shame, really. But it's just the way it is. But the frozen ones, they're picked at their optimum nutrient, with their optimum nutrient levels and flavour levels. So that's, something to bear in mind there, because we tend to always think, frozen stuff isn't quite as good quality, but actually a lot of the time that it is. So what to look for then with your frozen fruits and vegetables? So first up, the better quality you can find is always going to be better. So even if you can lay your hands on organic, that would be ideal, particularly with things like berries, because they do get sprayed with a lot of pesticides. Anything that gets eaten by bugs will by and large have been treated quite heavily with pesticides, so that's worth bearing in mind. So yeah, so that's the main thing to look out for. If you can find organic, better, but if not, I wouldn't sweat it too much. Organic frozen peas, though, you can get those everywhere, and they're so handy to have in the freezer that, you know, you've always got a vegetable option there. No matter how busy you are, you haven't got, you know, if you haven't got time to cook when you get in, you can always throw something together involving frozen peas, which will get you a lot of nutrients in there. Next up, frozen food is not supposed to be kept forever. It is supposed to last a very long time, but once it's been hanging around for a few months, it will start to deteriorate in quality, and that nutrient value is going to go down a little bit as well. So do bear that in mind. Don't keep stuff in your freezer for months and years. That's not the idea at all. And next up, don't be tempted by any kind of added extras that they might contain, such as sachets of sauces and that kind of thing. Those kind of added sauces are going to be full of sugar, full of additives, and probably not particularly tasty, so it's always going to be better to make your own there. And frozen vegetables are perfect for adding to soups in the winter, stews, curries, casseroles, etc. They are ideal for that. I probably wouldn't be using them for stir fries. I don't think that would work very well, but frozen fresh are better for stir fries, definitely. And fresh actually are, you know, they can be tastier, and they certainly are, you know, superior in many ways. So I'm not saying at all don't have fresh. Absolutely have fresh sometimes, but frozen is also a really, really handy backup to have around. One really good thing to do, if you buy those bags of herbs, bags of fresh herbs, once you've opened the bag, they start to deteriorate very, very quickly. So what you can do is just pop them in the freezer. Once you've opened them, pop them in the freezer, and then you can just scrunch bits off into your cooking, and it gives it a nice burst of flavour as well. You add them in at the end of cooking, so that's another good trick. It just keeps them lasting a bit longer. Okay, I hope you found that useful. If you did, do like and share, and put me a DM info if you want any more information on testing, lab testing, or one-to-one nutrition support. Okay, see you next time. Bye.